Welcome back, welcome one and all. This is ZurnZen. Welcome to FTB Infinity. This is episode 7. Today we have a jam-packed episode for your delectation. First of all, we reveal Base 2, which I've been saying that we've been dealing with and giving you hints to in previous episodes. So, shall we get ready for the grand reveal? Should we have a countdown? 3, 2... I think you're actually going to be very surprised at the complexity and diversity and other words that end with te. So, without further ado, let's have a countdown. 3, 2... And the thing about it is it's very, very complex is the build. It's Leonardo da Vinci would have been proud of such amazing ingenuity. Isambard Kingdom Brunel, actually, would be turning now in his grave. Anyway, without further ado, I'm digressing. 3, 2, 1... There we have it. Look at that. That is the finest feat of engineering you have ever seen. Look at it. It's astounding. It's astounding. Look at that. Yep, compact Bijou. Yep, it's got everything you need. It's got a crafting station, and we have a chest. Let me put some dirt in there. But yeah, it's the start of Base 2. I think we're nearly done in here, actually. I would consider this, actually, nearly a finished piece. Let's just take you around it. Look at this. This astounding brickwork. Fantastic. Fantastic. Gabled roof, as you can see. Good for rain and things that come down on your head. But yeah, compact Bijou. So, what do you think? Do you like that? Do you like that? Is it good for you? Of course, I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding. What I want to do is show you the real house. So, without further ado, welcome to the Oreo. This is the top of Base 2. Gone for a nice little dome effect. Not quite sure what I'm going to do up there. I might put some Thorncraft up there. It's still a work in progress, as you can see. I will extend the walls out to this outer ring. I may have another ring, probably a water ring going round. Yet to be decided. Not too sure yet. Landscaping will come with functionality. This is usual form with me follows functionality. And there you go. It's a big shaft all the way down. Level 1. We have... Oh yeah, I also have a quick elevator here just to get up and down to the surface. I dyed it in red because I thought it actually went well with the red and black motif. Big fan of red. Yeah, so this is the new AE2 room. We've now developed our AE2 somewhat, tidied it up a little bit. We've moved the chargers into this little window. Same dispensing system as before. Pop the crystals in here, they do the thing in there, and then they get dumped into our AE2 system. And same with the inscriber, same setup, just move the piping around a little bit so we've got top, middle and bottom. It's good for what it does at the moment. I'm obviously going to change this so it's more automated. So all we have to do is just dump loads of things in and it will go and do its thing. But for now, it's very down and dirty, but does the job. So the AE2. We've expanded the drives a little bit. We've now got some 64K storages in there. All full to the brim of goodies. And a crafting terminal as normal. Next to that we have a pattern terminal because we now have crafting. I'll go on to that later. We also have an interface terminal, and these interfaces are connected to our equipment that we have further around in the base, and I will explain that as we get to the interfaces. So what happens is, if you want it to autocraft, you can create a pattern by putting in something there, which gives you something there. Create a pattern, that pattern then goes into one of these like this, you see. That's what you'll get. And then you pop it in there, into a molecular assembler. Now, the Mac, as it was called in AE1, has changed considerably in AE2. It's now these little assemblers, which, again, I'll show you, that is over in that direction there, I believe. I'm also using deep storage. I completely forgot what they were called then. I had a senior moment. Deep storage, because we have a lot of cobble, we're going to have a lot of dirt, a lot of gravel, a lot of things that I really don't want clogging up this system here. So anything that's probably going over 1,000 items, I'm going to pop them into deep storage and have AE2 connected to the deep storage. And the deep storage is over there. And I'll have AE2 connected to it using storage buses so it can push and pull items from those. So it's like an extended drive really, but it's very large. Let's pop over here now. Again, this is still unfinished, all very ghetto, but still torches and not laid out properly. I just made sure it's functional first. I thought I'd give you a bit of a tour. This is the style it's going to end up looking like. I kind of like the cobble, not quite sure. It may change. I'm wanting to try do different levels. As you see, as we get down to the bottom level, the floors are different on the bottom level. But these are the deep storage systems. At the moment, we've still got 4 empty. But at the moment, I'm storing quite a lot of items, as you can see with the little oak panels on the front. I've mounted the items on the front so you can see which one it is. And like the cobble at the moment, as you can see, we've got 414,000 cobble and still climbing because the quarry now is channeling directly into the AE2 system. Whatever items are in the deep storage get immediately shipped straight over into these deep storage units so they don't clog up the system. I've got loads of marble. I've got a plan for that, a beautiful plan for my marble. You will see some of it downstairs. I think people should upvote this video, should really like this video over and over again for the use of marble, because I think marble is a wonderful building material and I won't hear anything else about it. Anyway, moving on from my political rant. I'll just take you behind the scenes. Let's see the wizard. Nothing to report here, it's all nice and simple. I've got dense cables feeding these systems, so let's backtrack as to where these things come from. Look at that glittering rectangle of delight up there. This is the new ME controller. Now, the small version of the AE system that we had in the old house could only handle 8 channels, and by 8 channels I mean 8 things attached to it. So if we just go behind here, I'll show you what our basic system was. Our basic system was a crafting terminal. It was the 2 drives. It was little bits and pieces like this interface here. There was the I/O drive. So there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there was well within the channels that we needed. Because this cable here will only carry 8 channels. Nothing more. If you put 9 on there, one of them will fail. Or the whole of it will fail. Sometimes I've found that the whole of it fails rather than just the one that you put on the end. It's like it overloads and says, no, I'm not working at all, until you take the 9th object off and then all 8 channels will work again. Now I've got smart cable on here so I can see how many channels I'm using. As you can see there, I'm using 4. If you use any more, it goes white in between. Like this is using 6, this is 7. And then if you go all the way back, we're using a total of 8 channels in this chain. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then we follow the cable around, 6, and the 2, what are they called? The 2 thingamywhatsits in there. Yeah, thingamywhatsits. That's what they shall be now known as, R2. So that makes the 8. So we can't expand that any further without this thing completely stopping. Now, obviously we want to run more on here, because I've got up here, I've got the 3 drives as well. I can't connect them to there because it makes more than 8, so I need to use a dense cable. Now, a dense cable can carry 32 channels at once, which is groovy, but it needs an ME network controller, which is this glowy thing here. Sorry, an ME controller. The ME controller, each one of these is a separate block, can carry 32 channels out of each side. And the big fat dense cables can carry 32, so you can take one of these each side. So technically you can have 32, 64, 128, 256 channels. That was very, very terrible maths. Go to the back of the class, you fool. So it can take quite a lot of channels, but you do need one of these. I've just made it a nice ring because it just looks really pretty. I may extend this up into some kind of vertical cube thing. Not quite sure. I don't think I need to. And it does get a little bit migraine inducing if you look at this for too long. Now this requires power. So over here I've got a little tesseract connected to energy acceptor down to an energy cell, which is powering this. And I'm using P2P tunnels on this. So rather than, let me just do a brief explanation of this without boring you too much. You could run dense cables all the way across to where you want these dense cables to go, but these are pricey. If you just look at dense cables, dense cable. So let's have a look at one dense cable. One dense cable is made up of 4 covered cables and redstone and glowstone. That's made up of glass cable and wool. Glass cable is made up of fluix and quartz fibre. So as you can see, it's quite resource intensive just to make these. So it's easy to make the ones you need on that side, and then just one, and then connect a P2P tunnel underneath. Because then what will happen is that information, that 32 channels, will be sent through this. Even though this only carries 8, it will also connect to another P2P, which I've got hidden over here at the top of one of these stacks. If I just go and see if I can see it from this side, you may be able to. You can just about see it at the top, that lip there. That's another P2P tunnel, and that's the other side of it. So it's like an extension. It just extends it to there, and I've got it coming down here. So it's feeding 32 channels on the grey channel, because each colour is separate and colours won't connect to each other, which is really, really handy. So I've got the Mr. Light Grey going over to the deep storage. I've got Mr. White going over to my smelters and sag mills on this side, and we'll get to them in a second. What else have I got? I've got Mr. Light Blue going over to my molecular assemblers. So let's pop over here. Now, as I said before, it was called the Mac in A1, but now we've got these molecular assemblers and these crafting storage units. A little bit different. It's kind of broken the Mac down slightly. The crafting core processors and the crafting storage, the more of these you have, the faster it will craft. The more of these you have, the more it will craft. Because for each thing you want to craft, let's have a look, for example, at our craftable items that I've got at the moment. If I want to craft an interface, and I want to craft one of those, probably won't have to do. As you can see there, it says 90 bytes used. That's just to craft this one thing. And it will tell you in here, which is really cool, what it needs. If you haven't got it, these will go red to tell you that you've not got it available. Depending on how many crafting CPUs you have, you can make it automatic. At the moment, as you can see over this side, I have 2. And I have a storage of 32K, which is these 2 here. Just these 2 16s. That speeds it up. This enables you to craft bigger items, because obviously if you get to, let's say, something like this, it's 177. The more items it needs to craft, the bigger this number will be, the bigger you'll need these to be. You can stack these, so you can get another 2 here, or you can get 4 there, or 4 of those and 4 of those. They are a multi-block build, so as you can see there, I can hear monsters. Where are you? Oh, you're not in here. So it's a multi-block structure, so as soon as you do it right, it will plonk, do that. Nice. Now, this is my interface and molecular assembler collection. What you have is these actually create a craft. So if you're crafting something together, it will happen in one of these. Now you may have 1 or 2 things that you want to craft at the same time. Obviously, if you've only got 1 of these, it can only craft 1 at a time. So I've got this chain effect going on here with interfaces in between. So that means that AE2 can squirt out a craft into here, and it can go into 3 of these at once if it needs to, or it can send 3 separate items into there. Or it can send, if I'm say wanting loads of cobble compressed, it'll send loads of cobble into all 3 of those. Now this can happen from any of these interfaces, they're all connected. And the more you have of these, the more items you can craft at once without your system slowing down. So it's pointless having a really fast crafting system if you only have, say, 1 of these, because that'll try craft it really quick and it'll just slow down in here. So when you decide to craft something, as you saw when we was over at the AE2 system, if you want to craft it, it will say, let me just show you, actually, it might be easier. Just trot over here. So once you've created a blank pattern and you want to pop it in somewhere, see, these are all the interfaces that I have connected to my molecular assemblers. So it's saying I've got all these which relate to all of those interfaces over there. Now, if you only have 1 interface, you'll only have 1 line. I think it's 1 line. Yeah, 1 line of these. So you'll only have 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. That's it. 9 areas to craft. So the more interfaces you have connected to your molecular assemblers, the more things you can craft, the more things you can store, and the easier your crafting will be. Now, the change in AE2 from AE1 is that when you want to create a crafting pattern, you have this pattern terminal, but you also have a processing pattern. Now, a processing pattern means if it's not something that's craftable, if it's not something that can be done in a 4x4, sorry, 4x4, in a 4x4, let's go off-road and do some crafting in a wood with a Land Rover. No. If you can't craft it in a 3x3 or a 4x4, yes, I said 4x4 again, then it becomes a processing pattern. So let's say if you want to add silver and gold together to make another ingot, then you will put silver and gold there, the outcome any one of these 3, and then create a pattern. And that, if let's say it's going to an alloy smelter, for example, if you wanted to create Invar or something like that, which is a combination metal, you would then send that to your alloy smelter. And I've got interfaces connected to my alloy smelters down this side, which I'll show you in a second. And it's the same for anything. If you have an interface connected to an induction furnace, you will have a tab that will say induction furnace. At the moment, I've only got sag mills and molecular assemblers. So let's just pop over and have a look at the sag mills and alloy smelters. Right, as you can see, I have a fair old stack of them. Simply being because I have a lot of things coming from the quarry, a lot of ores. Yeah, there's still ores in the floor. A lot of ores, and I want to process them as soon as they come in. I've not set that up yet, but eventually they will fire into these first few furnaces, and that'll still leave me a good 5 furnaces and 5 sag mills to play with. Now, again, each of them have interfaces on the top. Let's just pop behind here. Is that the door? No, that's not the door. That's the door. There we go. Hidden doorways. Let's just pop in here. Let's see the wizard. A very, very simple setup. Again, Ender.io to the rescue. It's absolutely wonderful. So I've got big, fat, dense cable coming down. It's using 8 of 32 because we only have 8 interfaces here. And if we go up there, there's another 8 being used. So this will give us a total of, ka-ching, 16. There you go. So I've still got room for 16 things I can connect to that system from down here, which is rather groovy. Got a line of sag mills at the top. They're accepting things from up here. Oh, as you saw there, I've popped in 64 flint, so it will always hold 64 flint. And that's because these need 64, well, these need flint really to give you extra items, bonus drops when you crush things. So I've just told that to keep 64 there, so if ever we get flint in the system, it will always top these up, which will always top these up. Beautiful. So I've just got basic sag mills there. I've configured them. You don't necessarily need to with Ender.io because Ender.io automatically seems to override this, but I do it. I'm a bit OCD like that. So we've got outputting to the back, inputting from the interface at the top. So when it comes out the back, it comes out into these conduit controllers. Let me just get a wrench and I can show you. A little tip, if you have a Yeta wrench, which is the Ender.io wrench, and you hold down Shift and then rotate your middle mouse wheel, as you can see on the bottom left, you've got 5 little blocks. One is power, one is redstone, one is fluid, items, and ME. So if you, as you can see, you've got bundled cables here. It'd be really hard to work on a cable that's behind it all without demolishing all these other cables. So you just roll through until you get to the cable that you want, like that's the power. Then we've got items, and then ME, and then back to normal again. Float it out the back. We've got an item conduit there, which will bring it back down and it will plop it into here. This ender chest is connected to my AE system over there. So whatever goes in here goes back into my AE. So I get dusts out of there, they go in there, and then eventually I'll get ingots coming out of there, popping into there, and then into my AE system. Beautiful. So what else AE2 do we have? Well, we have the wireless terminal. Those of you familiar with AE2 will remember this from last time, although its system has changed a little bit. If we just pop back here, close the door. Oh, by the way, this is the back of my diggly dangly system for the inscriber. No, sorry, for the, what are they called? The crystal. Oh, let me just go around. I'll tell you. These things. Whatever they're called. Chargers, that's the ones. Honestly. So yeah, they've changed a little bit. You can't just, before you could just pop it into your ME interface and it would automatically spit it back out again. But now we have this security terminal, which is quite good. It protects, if you're working on a server, you can protect your AE system from people just coming along, opening it and stealing everything basically. Now you can create security, but obviously I'm just on a Let's Play world. There's only me, myself and I on here. And as you can see there, that's where you drop your terminal in and it pops out the bottom. Poops it out and you get a working terminal. Bing bong, like that. But you do need one of these, a wireless access point. And inside that is your wireless boosters. The bigger the boosters you have, the more range you have, but also the more AE it will use per tick. At the moment, 59. And that gives me fair good range. I've no complaints at the moment. It does all the base. So let's pop down to the lower levels. Let's see what's down here. At the moment, I've still got lots of space I can play with. I should just pop down to this. This is where we've moved all the Mistcraft into the lovely marble room. Isn't marble beautiful? What a wonderful thing marble is. Oh, look at that. Revel in the glory of marble. So we have our little, same as what we had back in the man cave. Same setup, just a little bit more organised. I've got black ink that I found in one of my Mistcraft worlds. I've popped into a drum, so I've no shortage of black ink and the well underneath. Nothing much has changed here, just the aesthetics, just the change of the room. May still do something with the roof and this intersection here. But apart from that, we're nearly there with that. As you can see, I've yet to dig out these areas. So let's pop down to the lower levels. You can see that one's done. Now with the lower levels, I have a tendency to put power down here. Slimes. I seem to have done this in a slime chunk, which is really handy. Because you can't stop these slimes from spawning. Which is no bad thing. I mean, at least I get free slimes. And free hats, should I need them. Yeah. Oh, I've got a cute ocelot hat. That's great. Let's have a look, see what that looks like. Googly eyes. We all like that. What was it called? Cute ocelot hat. There you go. Let's have a cat on our head. Yeah, I look pretty. Oh, so pretty. I look happy. I'm pretty and dry. Anyway, musical interlude over. Interlude. So we have a bigger reactor now. Damn slimes. Keep it down up there. Flapping and slopping about. God, we have the noisiest neighbours in this neighbourhood. So very similar to our old setup, apart from it expanded quite considerably. I now have a yellowite barrel there and a cyanide barrel there. Sorry, cyanide. Yes, I have a dangerous barrel full of cyanide there, which is always handy to have. And so they automatically pump in and out. I will connect this up to the AE so it will suck out all the yellowite from the AE system, so I don't even have to touch this. And that pops into there. I've got, as you can just about see in there, there's 4 reactors in there. As you can see there, 4 fuel rods. Kicking out all capacities. You can see very little heat. And energy as and when I need it. At the moment, it's only needing to send out 418, dependent on what machines I'm using. And that's because of the RedNet controller. Now, I mentioned this. Ooh, now what was it be? Way back, episode 2, I think, the RedNet controller, when I first built the reactor. Or was it episode 3? Upgrading the juice, that was what it was. So with the RedNet controller, what we have here is, if I have a look in here, I've set this to maximum 2 inputs, and it's the up input that I want in white, and the up input that I want in black. The reason for this is if you right click on here, you have all these options. You can set different colours to do different things. I've just got my white controlling, let me just turn that off, there we go. We have our white controlling energy amount and the black controlling the control rod insertion. Whereas before we had to climb up here and do our own control rod insertions up here. And the problem with that was it would always output at whatever the control rod was inserted to. So even if you needed 100 EU per tick, EU? RF, how old am I? If you needed a small amount of energy, it would always output a large amount, unless you went up there and manually moved them. Whereas now, the RedNet controller will do this automatically depending on the demand that I need from here. The energy amount percent is equated to the change of control rod insertion. So if I switch all my machines on, this RedNet will go, oh, we need more power. What it'll do is it'll change the depth of the control rods, give me considerably more power, and make sure that this pretty much stays at an even keel and the core heat remains low so we don't burn up a great deal. And that's a fantastic little addition, because with that, you don't have to worry about your control rods. You don't have to worry about overusing too much yellowite, which we have a ton of. I mean, eventually I can change the cyanite into plutonium and then send that back through again. Or I could make a larger reactor, the turbine reactor, but I never needed to. This has been the perfect system, and it's never fallen down. Obviously, the more I'm going to use, the more power output I'm going to need. So, I don't know, a long time in the future before I need to update this, I think. I pop down here. All I've got here is a vibrant capacitor bank holding 25 million RF, and that just pumps out through a tesseract into the reactor. So it's just sending out energy, so I can put a tesseract anywhere I want and drain power from this. I've got a spare one there, just in case. Keep it down up there. Hell's bells. So what else do we have down here? Now, we have nothing here, but you saw this in the previous episode. In the last episode, you saw this, which was my little kill chamber, happily whirring away down here. So that is the Oreo. Now the reason I call it an Oreo is because it did actually look, when I first built this, let's just check the map for monsters, make sure we're safe. It did actually, before I put the glass roof on, and these cross beams here, this top section did look like an Oreo, at the top of an Oreo biscuit. Oh, I saw you. I saw you, sucker. So yeah, I just kind of nicknamed it the Oreo, and it's just kind of stuck. But it's a neat little thing. All these pipes will change eventually. Once I get some singularities going, I'll be able to do all this wirelessly. Maybe I'll build a singularity unit up there, which will pipe out network information over to singularities everywhere else, and we can do that wirelessly. That is it at the moment. Move the QED over. Let's just pop back to the man cave and give it one last look, because I think in the next episode it will be gone completely. So why don't we pop over there and have a look. Oh, so sad. Look at it. All gone. Broken down. Still little bits and pieces, the unifier. Still need to move over. I still have some of the AE2 stuff up there, the crystal growth accelerators, which I need to move over, which I will do so by the next episode. Love this little animation where you can see through it into the void. Still have the grinder and the mob essence over there. That's still to deal with. I think a smelt needs to move. The enchant room needs to move. So there's still quite a bit of work to do. All this needs to move. I started doing a little bit on Thorncraft, but I'm not going to get into that into this episode. Let's get some nether wart while I'm here. That's pretty much it for this episode, I think. Again, apologies for the heavy tech. It has been... all it seems to be is heavy tech, apart from last episode where you saw me dying like a goon. I hope to bring you more of that in the next episode as we continue on with the bosses in the Twilight Forest. But for now, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you enjoyed this, it helps out tremendously and lets me know if you're liking the videos that I'm putting out. After all, it's just a bit of fun, but hey ho, it's nice to know that you guys out there, and girls, and people of non-disclosed gender, or aliens, hippos, tree mammoths, mammoths? What's a mammoth? I've invented a creature, a mammoth. Yes, mammoths. Please like and subscribe to the Mammoth fan club that I'm going to set up in your honour. Until next time, this is ZurnZen. I'll see you on the flip side. Much love.